There is more breaking news to tell you about this hour. Prosecutors once again have told Donald Trump there's no there, no grounds to prosecute one of Donald Trump's most prized targets for retribution. Our friends and colleagues Ken Dilanian and Carol Leonnig are just now reporting that the federal prosecutor in charge of investigating whether Senator Adam Schiff should be charged with mortgage fraud recently told her bosses in Washington, D.C. she did not think that the case was strong enough to move forward. That's according to two sources who are familiar with the matter speaking to MSNBC. Kelly Hayes, the U.S. attorney in Maryland, met in recent days with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, telling him she does not think the case against Schiff was strong. That's according to two people. The two said Ed Martin, a controversial senior Justice Department official, is pressing to keep the case alive. A third person familiar said the investigation is very much ongoing. Schiff is just the latest example where attorneys have expressed doubts about the weakness of an investigation up the chain of command at DOJ. Prosecutors have previously warned that the cases against New York Attorney General Tish James and former FBI Director Jim Comey were not strong enough to move forward and take to a grand jury. And we all know what happened. They've both been indicted. Trump later ousted the U.S. attorney who refused to indict Comey and also thought the Tish James evidence was too weak. I want to bring in the reporter behind all these stories, my colleague, MSNBC Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Dilanian. Alex is still here. Ken, tell us what you're learning.
Nicole, Carol and I learned today that Kelly Hayes, the U.S. attorney in Maryland, she's a career prosecutor, but she's Donald Trump's pick to lead that U.S. attorney's office. She came and met with Todd Blanche, the deputy attorney general, and explained that in her view and in the view of her team, they just don't have enough evidence to prosecute Adam Schiff, that this case is essentially stalled out. There just isn't a there, as you said, on these allegations of mortgage fraud. And remember, this is about Adam Schiff, like many members of Congress, has two homes, one in his district and one in Maryland, where he raised a family, and both are listed as primary residences. And he and his lawyer, Preet Bharara, say that that was perfectly legitimate. There was nothing improper about that. And they also say, by the way, that the statute of limitations, even if there was a case, has lapsed because the last time they refinanced was 12 years ago. But nonetheless, Bill Pulte, the head of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, made a criminal referral, as he did with the Tish James case, and the Justice Department was investigating, and the case was assigned to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Maryland. And so that's where we are. Kelly Hayes, the top prosecutor there, is saying there is no case, but Ed Martin, that controversial figure who was the U.S. attorney briefly in D.C., but couldn't be confirmed there because of his ties to January 6 defendants, now he's leading this weaponization working group. He's also the pardons attorney. He, we are told, is pressing to keep this case alive, and they are continuing to investigate. But when you hear that phrase, continuing to investigate, it makes you wonder, what exactly are they investigating? There aren't witnesses here. This is a paper case. There are mortgage documents, and there's what Adam Schiff represented in the mortgage documents, and there's a question of whether he made a mistake, and if he did he intend to make a mistake? And it seems to me that it wouldn't take very long to get to the bottom of those questions, and it looks like a team of prosecutors poured over it and didn't find evidence of a crime, but nonetheless, the Justice Department is pressing on, Nicole.
So, Ken, when we reach this juncture in the Comey and James investigations, this was the part in the story where Eric Siebert was forced out of the Department of Justice, along with a sort of a wide blast radius of other departures from the Eastern District of Virginia. Is that tension brewing in this U.S. Attorney's Office?
Well, yes, and we are told that Kelly Hayes is prepared to be removed, is that she believes that is one possibility that could happen here. I guess the question is, for the Trump administration, is can they continue to do this? Are they at all concerned about the perception of just continuing to fire prosecutors until you get the result you want? How long can you continue to do that before the public sees very clearly, even some of your own supporters, what's going on here? And, Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi are experienced lawyers who've been around, in Pam Bondi's case, the Florida Attorney General's office, and Todd Blanche's case, he's worked for the Justice Department. They know how this looks in the legal community, so they can't be happy with the idea that you just fire an experienced prosecutor who tells you there is no case. And then the other question is, this is not the Eastern District of Virginia, this is Maryland. Can they get past a grand jury in Maryland with the evidence that they have? That is another open question, Nicole.
Adam Schiff has driven Trump crazy, loco, for years. What's your sense of whether this persists or goes away?
Well, I think part of the point is just to have it out there in the ether and just to be saying the words potential indictment and Adam Schiff over and over and over again. But I think what we're also, what is becoming abundantly clear is that turmoil unfolding in these U.S. attorneys' offices, where these career prosecutors are like, there is no there there. And then they are usually either forced to resign or they are summarily fired. And you have a gutting, a hollowing out of really essential offices. And instead you get Lindsay Halligan. You have people with zero experience to do the bidding of the president. And that should disturb everybody who cares about justice. This is not good for rule of law in this country.
Which means like the drug dealers in your neighborhood.
Exactly.
The criminals in your, it means it's beyond Washington.